Alright guys, so I'm pretty excited about this one. This is the CT Sounds 2000.1 amplifier. You've seen other 2000 watt amplifiers and you've seen other CT series amplifiers, but this is the wombo combo when it comes to budget bass power. So I've got this on the bench. I want to see what kind of power it's going to make. I want to see what it looks like. So we're going to run through all that in this video. So I guess the first thing we're going to do is actually open her up. See what she looks like. Imagine it's going to look like the other CT series amplifiers. Alright, let's get her open. So their new packaging is freaking awesome. It's got this hexagonal pattern, one of my favorite patterns, and of course the product on here and the information. And what I like is that right here on the box, they tell you there's no bull. It just says 2000 watts on the box right there. So you know exactly what you're getting. Honestly, there's no reason why you should be putting any number on the box other than the number the power of the amplifier actually makes. There's no reason for any other numbers to be on the box. No theoretical, no maximum, especially when they're just an outright lie. I mean, the box itself is almost 2 feet long. This thing has got to be pretty big. Let's open that up right there. So the way they package these CT series amplifiers, I find it to be very cool. Seems like everything just fits in there and it's super well protected. Get some decals. Of course, the instruction manual here with all the specifications. Very, very detailed. And of course, the numbers we are looking for. 2000 watts at 1 ohm, 1200 watts at 2 ohms, and about 650 at 4 ohms. We don't really care much about that. And that big boy amp right there, 3200 watts. Alright, let's break her out of here. But first we'll look at this bass knob. I'm sure we've seen some bass knobs before. All the CT amps have bass knobs. Even their budget end right here. We've got these jacks on them. It's kind of plastic, but that's alright. It's got a power indicator on it. We'll set that aside for right now. Let's look at the amp right here. Wow, this thing is a surfboard. It's a miniature surfboard. How big that thing is. Wow, this is a gorgeous amp. Their CT series amps are fantastic looking. It's got Phillips head screws, so that's not too bad. Gain, your low pass filter, subsonic filter, that's your bass boost and frequency. Now, mind you, this amplifier is strappable, I do believe. Even though it's 2000 watts, you can put two of these together for 4000 RMS watts. So just for a size comparison, there's a thick boy EXO right there, and here's the CT amp. It's actually not terribly big for as powerful as it is. I've seen some 2,000 watt RMS amps that are much larger. This guy's about 19 inches long, and it's only 5.5 inches wide and about the standard 2 inches tall. So this thing is actually fairly small, about half the size of a similar 2,000 watt RMS amplifiers. In fact, some of the other ones, 1800 watt amps, are almost double this size already. So what do you say we hook up some 0 gauge wire and some 8 gauge speaker wire, hook it up to our 1 ohm and 2 ohm resistor load cells, and we'll break out the AMM1 and the DD1 and connect them up and see what kind of power numbers it'll make. Alright, so just a quick run through. This is my resistor load cell bank. There's 4 ohms, 1,000 watts each. So together, over here is where I can wire them in series, parallel, etc. I can do 4 ohms at 1,000 watts or up to 1 ohm at 4,000 watts, or anywhere in between. Okay, and there's the DD1 and the AMM1, which will test our power at clean and clipping. And of course the amplifier is set up as well. We're running 0 gauge OFC input wiring, and we're running 8 gauge OFC for the speaker wiring. Alright, so let's go ahead and fire up the 2 meters. Put this in dyno mode. And dyno power right there. We're going to run our first test at 40 Hertz up to distortion. That's your certified, and then we're going to run it to clipping, which is your uncertified. Okay, everything's set up. So we're going to power on the amplifier now. There she goes. We get a blue light. Right there. And let's start some tests. We're going to run 40 Hertz. Alright, we're going to run our first test up to distortion. This right here. 40 Hertz detect, 40 Hertz, up to clipping. Alright, there we are. 2176 watts. Alright, so now we're going to run 2 ohms. This will be distortion at 2 ohms. This is your certified 2 ohm test. Okay, so we see we got 40 Hertz detect and 2 ohms. Alright, let's run it to distortion at 2 ohms. Alright, we got 1419 watts at 2 ohms. That's certified. That's really, really good. So far we're meeting some pretty good power. Let's go ahead and do the uncertified up to clipping. I'm curious what this amplifier is actually going to make. Okay, we're going to run this next test up to clipping right here at 1 ohm, and then when we're done with that, we'll run it at 2 ohms, and we'll start it. Okay, we got 2,194 watts, so not a whole lot more, but still pretty good. Now we're going to try this at 2 ohms. Up to clipping. Clear that. 2 ohms up to clipping. And we're going to run it now. We got 40 Hertz up to clipping. Alright. 1429 watts. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how much power this amplifier makes. Is about 1400 watts at 2 ohms and just over 2000 watts at 1 ohm. So what I really have to say about this amplifier, I think it's one of the best budget bangers. For a little bit of money you pay for this thing, you make a ton of power. 2000 watts continuous is a perfect range for the intermediate person who's not really starting out, but maybe someone who wants something bigger that doesn't want to put too much. You can run this amplifier almost getting away with just a second battery, or you're just starting to get to the realm of needing an alternator and stuff like that. But if you run a 0 gauge OFC from the front to the back and you put in a second battery, maybe an alternator, you'll run this amp just fine and it'll make a wonderful bit of power. So that's it for me. It's good seeing you guys. Have a happy new year. I can't wait to do some more videos to come, more giveaways, things of like that. I want to do some different brands coming up the first of the year. I have a couple interesting videos that hopefully you guys would like. I got some old school stuff and I got some new school stuff, and I want to really show, I've been doing a lot of these CT amps, but I want to show you some other amplifiers and see if their power numbers match their box, and why I spend so much time with CT products, because they just don't lie with their products, and this video is another showcase of that. We made over 2,000 watts on a 2,000 watt amp. That's where the money's at. So just for grins, I bought the world's best amplifier. This is the Boss Audio R1100M. I'm going to do a video on it soon. A lot of guys seem to like this amplifier because it's cheap. I think it's like 80 bucks or something like that, 70, 80 bucks. So we're going to see, is 70, 80 dollars really, are you really getting what you're looking for that amount of money? And I can tell you already, it's probably not going to produce anything near the numbers it says on the packaging. So look for that video coming up soon. Alright, so I'm not trying to steal anybody else's thunder here, but I do want to take this plate off and show the guts inside of this thing. I know the other amp dyno channels do this, but I feel like it's only fair that we show some of the insides here. I kind of explain some of this. This is the input filter caps. This is the power supply right here. We have two big coils, very nice large coils. These are the rail caps and the output inductor, very large output inductor. So very compact design. These are the output rails going to the speakers over here. Pretty cool. Little guys right here come off of the rectifiers onto the rail voltage here, and what those guys do is they basically act like a known value resistor, a 0 ohm resistor, and when that moves within a fraction of an ohm, the protection circuit can pick that up and determine how much current is being drawn across the power supply and shut it off accordingly, because the power supply can only handle so much current at that higher voltage. So neat little tidbit right there. That's it. I'm going to put the cover back on. Oh, I want to check out these RCAs too. They're not too bad. All the FETs are on the edges, are nice and tucked in.